Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Lightside Music Reactions. It's a beautiful morning out, and if you listen carefully, you can hear the wildlife in the background. Hear the birds chirping. There's a hoot owl. It's a beautiful day out. So I wanted to thank everybody for the last couple weeks has been watching my videos, has been liking them and sharing them, and commenting on them, and especially those of you that have subscribed to the channel in the last couple of weeks. This all started several years ago as I was doing mostly reactions to TV and movie trailers. But 2 weeks ago, for the first time, I uploaded my reaction to a song. And it was Randy Travis's new song that just came out that was created with the help of artificial intelligence. And in the first 2 weeks since that video has been up, it's gotten over 11,000 views. And it's been getting comments and likes galore. And every day I get more and more. So I want to thank each and every one of you who are watching these videos, and especially those that are reacting to it in whatever way, whether it's liking the video or commenting or sharing or whatever it is. I just thank each and every one of you. But anyway, it started this whole craze now, and everybody seems to want to see me doing more reactions to music. And so on my live stream this past Sunday, I had a request from somebody who was in the chat. And that's a lesson for you right now, that if you want to get your opinions in here, you can comment down below, of course. But if you subscribe to the channel, you'll be notified whenever we go live, and you can join us in the live chat and have a conversation with me and let me know what you think. And so that's what some viewers did this past weekend. And one in particular named Eric, shout out to Eric, put in a request that I do more reactions to Randy Travis. And so this morning I am honoring Eric's request, and I am reacting to another Randy Travis song. The one we're listening to today is from his album Rise and Shine, and it's called Three Wooden Crosses. Now, this is a song that I have heard before, but it's been years. And I remember the chorus on it. Three wooden crosses on the right side of the highway. Na 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 na. That's pretty much all I can remember of it, lyric-wise. But I remember it was a really good song. I really enjoyed it. And so we're going to listen to it again, refresh my memory, and you guys can listen along with me. And hopefully you guys will enjoy this as well. And if you want to hear the original unedited song, I encourage you to go down and look in the description below, and there will be a link to the original video. And you can go over and, give Randy Travis's channel some support and listen to the actual song over there. But this is, as I said, from the album Rise and Shine. It's a song written by Kim Williams and Doug Johnson, and it was released in November 2002, as I said, on his album Rise and Shine. According to his bio here, it says the song became his 16th and final #1 single up until, right now. The one that he just released, I don't know what it's doing on the charts, but I imagine it's really going probably crazy on the charts right now. But it was his last #1 single up until, whatever this new one's doing. But it was named Song of the Year by the CMA, Country Music Association, in 2003. And it even won a Dove Award from the Gospel Music Association as Country Song of the Year in 2004. And so those of you that aren't familiar with Dove Awards, that's from the Christian music industry, which is through the Country Music, or the Christian Music Association, CMA, I think is what that stands for. But it reached #1 on the charts on May 24th, 2003, giving Randy Travis his 16th #1 single. And so this is a big song, a famous song, has a very powerful spiritual message, and we're going to go ahead and listen to it and see if we can refresh our memory on how it goes. So if you give me a second here, I'll bring it back up on YouTube. I had it a moment ago. Randy Travis, 3 Wooden Crosses. And here it is. Okay, let's go ahead and check it out. It's a pretty guitar there, with the keyboard in the background.
One for higher education, and 2 of them were searching for lost souls.
Okay, let's go ahead and pause that for a second. As you can probably tell already, this song is a story song, and that's pretty common in country music, especially maybe not as much in modern country music as in the, ever since the turn of the century. But classic country music from its inception, really back from like the 50s and 60s all the way up to the 80s and 90s, has a lot of their country music songs has been story songs. And I mentioned that in my previous video the other day about some of the famous songwriters in country music and singers have put out story songs. We think of like Waylon Jennings, Willie Nelson, Johnny Cash, Kenny Rogers. These people were all famous for their story songs, and it really defined country music pretty much for a generation. And this song is no different. The lyrics here: a farmer and a teacher, a hooker and a preacher. So it's setting up your characters. Riding on a midnight bus bound for Mexico. One's headed for vacation, one for higher education, and 2 of them were searching for lost souls. Okay, so which ones are which? Okay, you got one's headed for vacation, one for higher education. Higher education is probably the teacher. Okay, the farmer's probably headed for vacation. I'd say the farmer's headed for vacation, the teacher's headed for higher education, and 2 of them are searching for lost souls, the hooker and a preacher. That's kind of a really broad paradigm there. You've got 2 people that, from society's standpoint, couldn't be farther apart. You got the hooker, who is on the one side of morality as far as society looks, and then you got the preacher on the opposite side, but both of them are looking for lost souls for different purposes. The preacher, we would assume, is looking for lost souls to save, and the hooker looking for lost souls to, spend some time with, to put it delicately. Okay, let's get back into the song. There's the rub. All right, so we're already right there in the first verse. We've got the picture of what's getting ready to happen. This is going to be a tearjerker song. The message here, you've got the characters. They're on this bus together, and all of a sudden, there's an 18-wheeler coming, and an 18-wheeler can't stop on a dime. So never saw the bus coming, and so there's going to be an accident here. Okay, back to the chorus. Okay, 3 wooden crosses on the right side of the highway. I don't know if any of you guys have ever noticed. You ever been out driving on the interstate or on a major highway, and you look off to the side of the road and you see 3 wooden crosses, great big giant crosses standing along the side of the road. Back in the 80s, I think it was, there was this guy, and I remember the story from when I was a kid when this happened. But this guy got this idea to go out and start building these 3 wooden crosses along highways, and that was his ministry. That was his way of basically. One of the songs I wrote for my band, and we never really performed it. Was the lyric in it was "The rocks cry out, Jesus saves," and it was kind of a play on the concept that you get from the it's a biblical reference to where Jesus said that when they criticized him for when he rode into town on a colt of a donkey, and the little children were singing his praises, and everybody they were shouting Hosanna, praise to the Son of David. And his critics were saying, why are you letting these kids shout these praises to you? And he said, even if these children did not sing out the praises, then the rocks themselves and the trees would sing out my praises. And so along those same lines, you've got the Simon and Garfunkel song. What was it? The Sound of Silence. There's a line in that song. I always loved this line. The words of the prophets are written on the subway walls. And a lot of you from the newer generation might recognize that as the Disturbed song. Disturbed did a remake of it that's really beautiful. But it's originally a Simon and Garfunkel song. And I love that line in it. The words of the prophets are written on the subway walls. And when I hear that line, I think about, when you're driving along the highway and you go under this bridge, under an overpass, and you kind of glance off to the side and you see the graffiti written on the side underneath the bridge. And a lot of times you'll see stuff written on there like Jesus saves. And when I wrote that song, The Rocks Cry Out, Jesus Saves, that was what I had in mind. And I was inspired in part by that line from the Simon & Garfunkel song. But this guy had the same general idea, is, instead of just having graffiti on the walls, he put up these 3 wooden crosses all over the country, scattered about, so that people driving down the highway would just randomly look off to the side and see those crosses, and he was hoping that it would speak to them somehow. No words, just a simple message of 3 crosses, and, even if you're not a person of faith, you recognize what that represents. And so that was his thing, is he put all those up, and that's what Randy's referencing here in this song. Or not Randy, but the 2 people, I named them earlier, that wrote the song, but Randy's singing about it. But 3 wooden crosses on the right side of the highway. The next line, why there's not 4 of them, heaven only knows. Now, the preacher in me is going to come out for a second. This is something I've preached on before about, how, Jesus died on the cross for our sins. He didn't die for anything that he had done because he was innocent. But he died for the evil that we do, the sins that we commit, from the time we're infants until the time we grow up into adults, God willing, and eventually leave this world. We're all sinners. We have that inherent natural instinct to be selfish creatures, and I've talked about that before. But we all have that original sin in us, and he died so that price for sin could be paid without us having to pay it ourselves. And that's what grace is all about. The song Amazing Grace. That's what God's amazing grace is all about. And so, why there's not 4 of them up there? Why was he on the cross, not me? I'm the one that deserved to be on that cross, not him. And that's what I think of when he says that line, why there's not 4 of them, heaven only knows. Why wasn't there a cross up there for me? And I get a feeling that he's going to answer that in this song. Let's go ahead and get back into it. Why there's not 4 of them, heaven only knows.
I guess it's not what you take when you leave this world behind you. It's what you leave behind
Oh, it's what you leave behind you when you go. I am so glad that I'm hearing this song. Several months ago, I had this song in my head and I couldn't place what it was, except I was getting the lyric wrong and I was trying to reference it in one of my messages and I could not think of what it was because for some reason I had in my head that the line was, you can't take it with you when you go. And so I remember just several months ago, I was Googling that line, you can't take it with you when you go. It was the only line I could remember from the song. I was trying to figure out what that song was. It wasn't I never found it because that's not the line. It's not, you can't take it with you when you go. It says, it's what you leave behind you when you go. And so now I know what that song was. It was Three Wooden Crosses. The song was in the back of my mind and I was trying to reference it for a completely different reason. But anyway, yeah, the line there, I guess it's not what you take when you leave this world behind you. It's what you leave behind you when you go. And yeah, that's an important message for us. You've heard that phrase, you can't take it with you when you go. Somebody once said that you never see a U-Haul, a hearse pulling a U-Haul behind it. And there's a joke about the guy that wanted his, he was real stingy and he wanted his wife to bury him when he died with all his money in it, in the grave. And so at the funeral, his wife was telling the friend at the casket, and the friend said, "What's that envelope there in the casket?" And she explained the story. He said when he died, he wanted to be buried with all of his money. And the friend, her eyes got great big, and she said, "You don't mean to tell me that you're burying him with all your money? With all that cash?" It said, "How much is it?" And then she named how much it was. It was like tens of thousands of dollars. And she said, "Yes, I am. I'm a God-fearing woman, and that was his wishes. I did exactly what he wanted me to do. I wrote him a check, and that check is in that envelope." So it just goes to show you can't take it with you when you go. You want to take your treasures of this earth with you into heaven, but you can't take it with you go. Can't take it with you when you go. What it really is what you leave behind. And that's the important thing for me, as not only as a Christian, but just as a person that wants to influence the world for a better place. I've always had that philosophy about life is when I'm dead and gone and I'm, in heaven looking back on my past on life, my past life, I want to be able to be confident that I left the world a better place than I found it. And that's what he's saying here, I think, is it's not what you take when you leave this world behind you. It's what you leave behind you when you go. And so that's a question for all of us is when our time comes, when we do finally go and leave this world, what are we leaving behind? Okay, let's pick back up with the second verse here.
That farmer left to harvest a home and 80 acres. The faith and love for growing things in his young son's heart.
Okay, so the farmer left behind all this material stuff. Let's look at the lyrics here again. He left a harvest, a home, and 80 acres. And that's a reference to land. Acres is how much land you've got. The faith and love for growing things in his young son's heart. And so it wasn't just material things that the farmer left behind, but he left behind a legacy of saying, son, have faith. That's going to be that has to be an important part of your life, and have a love for growing things. And I think in this song, it's not just meaning growing things like a farmer does with food and sort of things. That's part of it, but also growing things in other people's hearts, and helping make the world a better place. Okay, that's what the farmer left behind.
And that teacher left her wisdom in the minds of lots of children and did her best to give them all a better start.
Okay, and so the farmer left behind something for his children, or for his children. The teacher left behind the same sort of stuff for her children, even though they weren't her biological children. I talked about this on Mother's Day, about how, we don't want to just honor our biological parents on Mother's Day and Father's Day, but also those in our community that helped them to raise us, whether it be a grandmother, grandfather, aunts and uncles, friends and neighbors, church family, anybody that really helps to shape our lives. Teachers, this is a perfect example. How many of you can remember a teacher from when you were younger that really had an impact on your life? I remember particularly one teacher that I had in 3rd grade, and when I went into 5th grade, they transferred her to the 5th grade. So I had her for 2 different years, and she was one of my favorite teachers because she instilled into me a love of reading and of writing, and just helped to nurture that in me. And I kind of regret that I never did write a book. She was always, she's since passed away, but I remember she wanted me to dedicate my first novel to her because she envisioned that one day I would write the great American novel. Never really did it. I've always had ideas of books I could write, but for some reason I would get started and never finish it. But I've had teachers besides her in my life too that has really impacted me and made my life better and made the world a better place, not just for me, but for the other children that weren't her or his. There's male and female teachers, not their biological children, but the children that they helped to raise. And so Mother's Day and Father's Day, just a side note, just take time to remember those as well. Not just your biological parents, but also those that have helped to support them in raising us through the years. So that teacher left her wisdom in the minds of lots of children, did her best to give them all a better start. And that's a wonderful thing. I hope that, and I know that a lot of teachers have that outlook on life, and that's why they do it, is because they want to make the world a better place for those children and help them to shape the future, to shape these lives into something better. I really honor the teachers like that in this world. Okay, I'm going to wait till this vehicle goes by. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get back into it.
And that preacher whispered, "Can't you see the promised land?" As he laid his bloodstained Bible in that hooker's hand. There are 3 wooden crosses.
Okay. Took a turn real quick. Talking about what they each left behind. Gets to the preacher. I'm a preacher, by the way, in case I haven't mentioned it. I think I have mentioned it several times already in this video. He whispered, "Can't you see the promised land?" As he laid his blood-stained Bible in that hooker's hand. That is powerful. And this is part of the formula that makes a great country song. You've got the story, and you've got the emotional pull on the heartstrings sort of thing. And Randy, you're doing it to me again. The preacher whispered, "Can't you see the promised land?" Because she's passing away. As he laid his blood-stained Bible in that hooker's hand. And it goes back into the chorus. And this is a beautiful song. I'd forgotten just how powerful this song is.
On the right side of the highway. Why there's not 4 of them, heaven only knows.
I just got it. Double meaning of the 3 wooden crosses. Scripturally, the 3 wooden crosses in the Bible, the one in the center was Jesus, and then the other 2 were for the 2 thieves that were crucified with him, the one on the right and one on the left. The one on the right, I believe it was on the right, the one on the right repented and said, "I'm sorry for what I've done," and had basically a deathbed confession. and a deathbed conversion. And Jesus told him, today you'll be with me in paradise. Just showing that, even with your very last breath, there is still hope. If your heart is sincere, God knows our hearts, and he will forgive our sins. If we truly repent, if we're really sincere, I can't say that for you, and you can't say that for me. We don't know each other's hearts, but he knows our hearts. And so he forgave that man as he breathed his last breath. And then, of course, the one on the left continued to mock him and say, why don't you come down and save us? Save yourself and save us. But it's got a double meaning here. I just know that's where this is heading. There's 4 characters in this story. The farmer. Let's go back and look at that lyric again. The farmer, a teacher, a hooker, and a preacher. 4 characters. There's 3 wooden crosses on the right side of the highway. How many times have you been driving down the highway and you see a little cross on the side of the road? Especially on big highways, as you see these. And it's decorated with flowers. What that represents is there was some kind of an accident there, and somebody died. And so that little cross with the flowers is there in their memory. This song, I think, is showing a double meaning. Is there 3 wooden crosses on the right side of the highway, and it doesn't just represent the scriptural part of it where there's Jesus and the 2 on either side, or 1 on either side. But apparently 3 people died in this accident, and 1 survived. And I think we're going to find out which ones are which here in just a minute. Man, this song's getting to me already.
Not what you take when you leave this world behind.
Dang it, Randy, you're doing it to me again.
Leave behind you when you go. That's the story that our preacher told last Sunday.
So the preacher survived.
Bloodstained Bible up for all of us to see. He said, bless the farmer and the teacher and the preacher who gave this Bible to my mama, who read it to me.
Oh, the preacher didn't survive. Oh, another twist. Let's bring up those lyrics again and look at that carefully. Okay, that's the story that our preacher told last Sunday. See, when he said that, I was thinking, okay, the preacher survived. As he held that bloodstained Bible up for all of us to see, he said, bless the farmer and the teacher and the preacher. Those are the 3 that passed away. Who gave that Bible to my mama. The hooker, who read it to me. So it wasn't the preacher that survived, it was the hooker. And as that preacher lay there dying, he gave the Bible to the woman. And he said to her, it says, the preacher whispered, can't you see the promised land? As he laid his blood-stained Bible in that hooker's hand. So it was his blood. And with his dying breath, he continued to make the world a better place for that woman, and then for her son, who she raised to understand the power behind what he did for her and for him. And he ended up becoming a preacher himself. Wow, another powerful song. Okay, let's finish it up.
There are 3 wooden crosses on the right side of the highway. Why there's not 4 of them, now I guess we know. It's not what you take When you leave this world behind,
Now we know why there's not 4 of them.
leave behind you.
Because of what you leave behind you when you go.
There are 3 wooden crosses on the right side of the highway.
Beautiful song, beautiful message. Now I know why this was a hit. And now I remember how powerful it was. And why it stuck in my head all those years later. Even though I couldn't remember exactly what it was from. But there were parts of the song I was remembering. But yeah, very powerful. Now we know why there was only 3 wooden crosses and not the 4th one. Is because that preacher left behind something when he went. And this is my message for you today, just to wrap up the video. I think we all have something in life that we're supposed to do to make this world a better place. That's what this life is all about. Doesn't mean you have to go out and become a preacher. We're not all called to do that. I was. That's my calling in life. One of them. You know, I've got other things that God has called me to do through the years as well, including my music, when I was with the band and stuff, the songwriting, all that. But becoming a preacher was a huge part of it, and I'm still doing that today. But each and every one of us, God has called us to do something to make this world a better place. Maybe it's being a teacher, like the teacher in the story. Left behind a legacy for the children that she helped raise. Maybe it's being a doctor or a nurse that undoubtedly was helping in that accident. Maybe it was an undertaker, somebody at a funeral home that helped to ease the family's pain as they mourn their loss from this tragic story. It could be many different things. It could be working in a nursing home. It could be working with children. And it doesn't have to be being a preacher. There's different ways that we can all share God's love with the world around us. And I hope that each and every one of you, no matter what your life story is, that you will, before you leave this earth, that you will find some way to help leave behind a legacy for the world to make it a better place. And that we leave something behind us when we go that makes the world a better place. Leave it in a better condition than you found it. That's a phrase that I've heard many years. You know, you think about when you set up a camp in the woods sort of thing. You know, when you have a big music festival or something. You don't want to leave litter on the ground behind and, you know, just throw all your stuff down and just leave it for somebody else to pick up. But when you let go, leave it in a better place. Leave it in a better condition than you found it. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. We're out of time. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, hit the like button. Comment down below what you would like to see me react to. And we'll see you next time on the Light Side Music Reactions. Have a great week and God bless, guys.